I will call the May 20th, 2020 Town of Berlin Historic District Commission meeting to order. Before we begin, I would like to thank our Deputy Town Administrator, Mary Boland, for coming in this evening and helping us out. Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome.
I will ask for a motion to approve the agenda that's been presented.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Has everyone had the opportunity to review the minutes of our last meeting, March 4th, 2020? Are there any additions or corrections? I'll entertain a motion to approve the minutes, please.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, thank you all very, very much. And we're here this evening for just one applicant. And that is case number 2020-05 for the property at 104 Pitt Street, known as the Blacksmith Restaurant. Justine is here along with Joe Pino, and what we have wonderful drawings, and thank you so much for a terrific package. I think the easiest way would be to have the complete presentation or anyone you want to accomplish, and then we'll go around if anyone has questions, comments, that thing. Joe, are you going to do the presentation for
Yes.
Steve? Thank you. You can go right ahead and begin.
Okay. So, where it says existing concrete pad on your drawings, that's where we are proposing to put a deck for outdoor seating. And the next page kind of shows you what's going into the deck, and the size of the deck is 59 foot 2 inches by 18 foot. And we're going to have the deck made out of this composite board that you might have seen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I know.
And then we're going to build a pergola on top of the deck.
Oh, that's attractive.
Yeah, and we're going to try to, well, we are going to put a sheeting on, or corrugated roofing to get the water off the deck if we need to. Hopefully it doesn't rain that often, but when it does, it'll at least allow them to have the outdoor seating capacity no matter what the weather. And then between the posts, because it is a blacksmith, we're going to put a black iron railing, which would be very attractive. Now, if you look on that A2, there is a slope ramp handicap going to, right in the middle of the deck, going to the door. And one thing that's going to be crucial for us is to have that lit up, and we're going to light up with lights, whether they're on the deck or on the side of the deck, but that'll make the deck very noticeable to anybody who needs to use it. And that is pretty much it in a nutshell. It's going to be a deck, the pergola, the railings.
Sounds attractive.
And the purpose is to give additional seating and outside seating. Who knows where we go from here, but you got to have the space to stay alive in a restaurant.
How many seats would we be able to have out there?
That's so we're not going by any sort of standard that's been used in the past by the fire marshal because it seems to be expanded. So we're thinking that if we added an additional maybe 10 seats outside, we'd be at about 30% of our capacity that we were last year, using only outside. Right now, we're looking at 6 feet in spacing. Inside, people have been using plexiglass and other things. We don't think this is going to work, and we're not really looking at doing much inside seating for this summer. So we're thinking probably if we do the 6-foot seating, we should be able to do 10 normal sized tables and a railing where people can wait, because one of our issues also is that it's a pretty small space and we on weekend nights, you guys might know we have a wait, and there's no really place for people to even stand safely. We were thinking about the parking lot, which isn't that attractive now anyway. Part of it is the aesthetics. But also just to wait outside in a parking lot is kind of our only other option. To have somebody go outside and call people as their table is ready or wait in their car. So it's kind of, there's a standing area as well. There's a little back area where we just plan on having people be able to stand there and wait for a table to be ready.
What material is the pergola?
Yeah, that's
The pergola is gonna be made out of wood.
my, okay.
Yeah, we were actually looking at vinyl, but it's cost prohibitive. It's a lot of money, almost 55,000. And, yeah, it was cost prohibitive.
And then what color will it be? I'm just trying to get a visual. We don't choose the color, but I'm just out of curiosity.
So we're thinking cedar.
Well, we're
Oh, so
gonna-
like a natural,
yeah, we're gonna try cedar, or even if we go salt treat, it'll gray, just like cedar actually grays. So eventually, the wood's gonna be gray. And then you put a clear coat on it and preserve the gray.
gotcha.
That's kind of what we're going for, something that's sort of gray and fits into the
Yeah,
color scheme that's already out there now.
Just sort of blends and bleeds
And
in.
then the black railing for a contrast.
And we're looking at the wooden post going up the pergola as well, wooden post as well. And what did you say that the rail was, the material?
The rails, it's a metal,
Okay.
yeah.
I like the contrast. I mean, it gives us some,
Yeah, this contrast is very nice, actually.
and you know, to me, it takes away, it doesn't look contemporary in the sense of course, I'll have the feeling, what is historic Berlin? Why is it not, Salisbury or some other place? I like that look. It's almost like an architectural something,
A
And
lot
as
of
you said, the
thought,
name of the restaurant, the whole thing, the
Yeah.
whole ambiance, the building itself is a very rugged looking, masculine looking building to me.
yeah, a lot of thought went into this, and we're trying to keep with the rest of the town how it is, so we're not taking, that's why the white pergola almost didn't fit, even though it's more
Yeah,
expensive.
that's what I was trying to.
It's almost like you should put it on the
Your eye would
beach.
just jump there instead of flowing in with the whole. Yeah.
Or you could do like some people are doing, they're taking dump trucks full of sand and throwing it in the parking lot. And they're calling it beach eating.
Yeah, oh,
That's good for the first rain.
So,
Jesse's got a little bit better taste than that, I'm sure of
I
that.
tried, she said no.
I have a question. On the proposed east elevation, that railing is gonna go from the ground level up, and the deck is elevated, so it's gonna go from the ground level up to the deck level, and then how far above that?
Now, this is gonna go from the deck level up, and we were thinking 42 inches, right? Yeah.
Because on the proposed east elevation, does that show it coming up from the street level?
Well, that's because we were looking at doing depending on how we did it with the wood or this. But then this would close, if we went like this, tight, all the way around as a railing, it would be very, very hot in there.
Mhm.
You'd get no air circulation.
It would also be dangerous when wind hit it.
Well,
So
it
the
would be
wind
like-
would
No, I'm not, yeah,
Yeah.
that's not the point I'm asking. I mean, I like the way it looks on the proposed east elevation view. It appears that the deck starts, appears maybe a foot or two above the street level, but the railing goes all the way down to the street level, sort of like covering. Is that the way you intend it to be?
I see what you're saying.
Yeah. That is going to be covered with a.
Because that looks nice like that, and it kind of hides the underside of the deck. If that's the way you're gonna do it, it looks really good.
Okay. What we were looking at doing at the bottom, like you see on the drawing on the right on A2, there's a
On the
board.
north elevation?
Yes,
Okay.
that is an AZAC board that's gonna cover so you don't see it underneath. We're gonna have to run an AZAC board the same on the front. Because see, if you look at the east side elevation, those boards don't come down to the floor. That's the concrete, which, let me see where we're at here. Yeah, that's coming up to the elevated area.
So you're gonna have a band board all the
We're
way
gonna have a
around?
band board.
Will that be like a white AZAC, or will you paint it the color of the the deck material, or you probably hadn't even thought that far, maybe.
No, you have that choice, you can paint it whatever
Yeah,
color
paint
you
it.
want. And it would probably look good trimmed out in a white, or even a cedar, to match the pergola, whatever that is,
Or the deck, yeah.
the deck. Well, the deck would be the gray.
So to clarify for Robert, the railing is not going all the way down to the concrete. It's gonna sit up on top of the deck, correct?
Right. And then
Yeah, that was my question, because, I mean, this, when I saw this, I'm really studying it, and I could see where it says, where it says deck beyond.
Yep.
It says deck beyond the railing, apparently, that's what I assumed it to be. And when I saw that the railing is going down to the grade, to the street grade, I thought it would look really good, because underneath the deck will be aerated and dry. Usually when you start closing it off, it becomes damp, and it can become home for critters too. Okay, so leaving it open, I thought was a great idea. That's why I was asking about it.
Now, see, I like the concept of the railing on the deck. I don't like it down to the,
Well, you would see those and see where the deck started, I think that would be odd.
Well, if it starts up on top, that's fine too, but the way you close the bottom, you don't want to seal it. It's got to be aerated.
That's a good point.
But it's got to be something like, if you just seal it with board, then to me, it might look a little shoddy, unless you put a decorative style finish on it, But that was just my question, because looking at this and then the way you're explaining it just created a question in my mind.
Yeah, because really where we have the fascia board, or band board, you gotta think up top, these are still spaced, so there's air getting through there. And it would be good to put some kind of cross ventilation underneath there, natural cross
If
ventilation.
there's going to be space there, then, let's say now, because this is a dining area, what happens when you wash the floors, food gets through there and everything? If you seal around, how are you going to get to the access to the street level to wash it? It should be hosed down once in a while.
Well, there is going to
See,
be,
these are issues that come up, because, I know from my own home, with crawl spaces and everything like that, I always keep them open and aerated so I can keep them clean.
Well, the one thing is I do notice that it's sloped underneath the
it
concrete.
is slick.
So
Right,
it
but
would
you
probably
need
run
access
back
to
out to
hose it
the,
down and everything.
yeah, so I'm sure it would just run out to the parking.
And that was part of the reason for the design we did,
I
because
saw
that works tremendously well, as bad as it looks. Like aesthetically, it doesn't look beautiful.
that. Yeah.
Concrete.
But it really does work at removing water and removing leaves.
That slope goes back to your building, correct?
Yeah, but, yeah, it goes down,
Kind
whoever
of more like
created-
a dip, really.
Yes, exactly, and it goes out to the street.
Kinda like-
Then it would go flow out to the.
Building, and then it kind of is higher at the building than it looks.
Mhm.
Is it, yeah, because
It creates a valley in the middle, right off the building.
It's actually a pretty good runoff because
Yeah.
It works.
The parking lot
effectively.
itself is sloped completely away from the building. And the blacktop. And then when you come in, it dips 2/3 of the way and then goes back up towards the building. So there is a gully that would be used for drainage.
That I thought was, I would assume was well-planned, whoever did it, because it keeps the water away from the building.
It's pretty amazing. Like I said, it doesn't look like much, but it's extremely effective.
And I think we're like nitpicking in a way, because this is a beautiful plan. I'm sure everybody's.
This
right.
makes the area look more historic than what it is now. I'm telling you
And
right
it's,
now.
I know you're doing it so you can have outdoor seating, but I do think that this is gonna just improve the town.
Thank you. We had looked at it because aesthetically, we've been wondering forever what to do with that area. It does not, it's not beautiful. And I love the building, and the building is, does have this historic value. But when you look at it, you don't realize it. And I think this will bring people in to see I think it'll really make a difference in the building. I think it'll make it fit better into a parking lot to look like it's supposed to be there.
Yeah.
Not just something that was plopped down in the middle. of
In an area
cement.
like this,
We're
people
inviting-
prefer to sit outside to eat too.
I think so. And I think it's great, and I think it's great for Berlin. I think when people walk around and they're peeking their heads around corners and looking at things, I think it's another building that we have in this town that'll look
And
like
you-
it's supposed to be there.
Justine, because I know you're Washingtonian too, and there's nothing, even if it's 3 little tables, front of a restaurant, people, the first pretty day, New York, Washington, if you go to any major city, people want to sit outside, and they don't expect, 9 picnic tables, but, it's even more inviting tonight, you just see, little juices out there, things, and people, of course, in the day, were on top of each other, didn't seem to mind, but,
Yeah.
Well, with Joe's reputation for everything you do, this is, like I said, thank you for this beautiful package.
nicest ones we've seen.
It's also a much better and much more effective entrance. I don't know if you know, but when it's
more
hard for
inviting.
us to get people in wheelchairs. There's a little lift. This is a beautiful, well-lit, rolling.
I know when we come there to eat, my wife and I, when we go in, just the entrance alone on a rainy day, it's kind of awkward when you open the
Yes.
door and the rain even comes inside the building. This will be, I think, better. I have another question. The sitting area you have outside along the side of the building, are you still keeping that there?
We still have our back deck.
Yeah?
And our back deck's great because it separates the back, kind of the working part of the restaurant. We also have a neighbor who uses our back deck as access to Coconut
Coconut Bay.
Bay. And it's nice to have, it's nice to have it, it's shaded, it's got the maple tree, but it doesn't do anything aesthetically for the building. And I think this is what,
Dive in.
yeah, to really spend the money and do it the right way and do something really beautiful.
I have just two things. Speaking about the back deck, the fence that's there now that's unpainted, would you mind throwing like a matching gray from the deck?
That's the idea, is to stain it. So we've already done the outside, the deck inside, and you can't see it
Oh,
from
right,
there.
right.
But hopefully even next week, so we were waiting to finalize the colors and to do something that would contrast with that, so.
I just
You also
think-
have to wait a little bit with that salt treated wood, it has to air
Mhm.
before you paint it.
Mhm.
But yeah, that's part of the plan.
That's great. And then the other thing, when Joe was speaking about the lighting, I noticed, I don't drive in the dark anymore because of my eyes, but I was coming home dusk and I was going down Main and I noticed lights like under the canopy in front of DeFevo's and Beach Memories. And it was just like a few, and it looked really, really nice. I
Yeah.
just love that.
I do
So,
too, and we've done the whole building. We don't have them on now because we're only doing carry out, and we've been pretty overwhelmed. I mean, it's for my small staff to do it, so we haven't really lit the place up, but lights are a big part of this plan. And it's a few kind of lighting, even the direction of the lighting has been well thought out with Joe and
We just met with
the
him.
designer. Yeah.
Just a couple hours ago, he came out.
that's great.
So there'll
I
be
just-
lights lighting the walkway, there'll be lights shining down from the posts onto the property itself, and there'll be very, very small lights above where the canopy's gonna go. That will be, not giving light, but just for the aesthetically beautiful part of it. But I think the lights are a big part and a chunk of the expense of this deck.
Yeah, and it's needed. I mean, it's, and it's dark back that
It
way,
is,
yeah.
that parking lot is dark,
Mhm.
yeah, I
Very
agree.
good. Well, I want to say, and I sincerely mean this, I am sure that Mr. Wimbrow was up in heaven looking down, smiling at this meeting. This is beautiful, beautiful, beautiful.
I hope so. We try to do it the right way, we try to do things the way they're supposed to be done, so.
Does anyone else, before
I
we- yes,
have one
Lenny, go
more
ahead.
question. Just in the ramp, say that it's coming in the handicap ramp and whatnot, I mean, it will not disturb the doorway or anything like that? I mean, we have plenty of room, so not doing anything with the door for the entrance?
Now, we were actually looking at raising the door, but that's gonna be quite a task.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. It looked like that was almost impossible, or it's not
We
possible.
had just enough of an
Anything can be done.
angle.
Yeah, before the ramp, when we were thinking about going straight across, then you would have had to have a step come into the restaurant,
Right.
which I thought could be a trip hazard. So,
And it defeats our purpose of making it more accessible,
yeah, so,
than less.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah,
the way
can
it's
we-
shown there, you got a level area there with top of the ramp, so I don't think it's gonna be an issue for a wheelchair or anything like that. They're
No.
leveled off before they.
It's gonna be
open the
much
door.
easier, actually,
I
and
see.
I think safer, and it's lit. And I think that the main thing with a lot of our, clients that come in that are, their sight's impaired or they're older, is to have that lit walkway. It's just, even if it's totally level and there's no hazards at all, it's just the confidence of being able to see where you're walking.
I'm a big fan of light, so.
Me too. I'm ready to light it up. I think it needs it badly.
Yeah.
I have one question, Carol.
Go ahead, yes, Dave.
Joe, you mentioned early on about, you're not doing corrugated roofing, it's an open pergola, right?
Now, we were hoping to do corrugated roofing to make this usable even though it's raining.
Okay, but that's not shown here, right?
No.
It actually,
That, when you mentioned that, I said, no, I've not seen that, so. I mean, like,
Yeah, I think canvas is what was in my mind from the original look, wasn't it?
Yeah, we had talked about canvas that would roll up and roll out, but I don't know.
That might be a better appearance if you do that, because corrugated, I think, might be a little bit too tacky. If anything, I would try to match the awnings that are on Main Street, they're more like a metal awning or
Well,
something
there's a
like
lot of
that.
metal roofs, I mean, that's come quite into vogue. I mean, you go down Broad Street and they have one part of the roof that looks corrugated metal, and another part's just asbestos kind of siding,
Especially
sort
for
of
a rustic building like a blacksmith.
Yeah, it's
building.
sort of a
I don't
farm.
think it's tacky.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
farmy
doesn't-
look. I mean, we have friends
it
in
doesn't show
Connecticut,
metal
that love it.
roofing
She
on
said you
this.
never see it in New England. And I said, no, it's sort of this mid-Atlantic kind of southern look, a farm look, a rural look. And that was a rural, to the farmers taking care of their buildings. So it doesn't, bother me. I think canvas, the problem with that, it always sort of gets water after a while. It gets puddles of water, it either starts leaking. I don't care what you pay for it, it's gonna touch it and it just rolls down. So
Well,
unless, Dave, tell me the technical, because I don't, aesthetically, it doesn't bother me.
Well, she was saying the exorbitant cost, number one, of the canvas.
Yeah,
That
I
was-
think it would just
Well, the
be,
corrugated not cheap either.
Yeah, I
No,
think
but-
our main issue was, and, I know Joe had looked at a couple different ideas, was that if we have people outside, meaning, and it does rain or something happens, in the current climate, we have nowhere to move them. We can't take them into an inside table and put them together and say, just cozy up to the bar and we'll bring your food out. I think that was part of it, and I think it's mostly just for that reason. I love having the open deck, and I think it's a great idea, the pergola, but something that's not too obstructive, something that's not,
If it doesn't rain that much, and most of the time people eat outside in good weather, and the appearance without any kind of cover, just a pergola, would look really nice. So maybe something like that you can roll up and keep it tucked underneath the soffit.
and that's sort
And
of
that
the
might be nice,
canvas
because in this
idea.
way it's always open, and then when it rains, just roll it out. And it's only for and when it's a rainy day, it never really looks that nice anyway, so you just roll it out. And then when it clears up, you just roll it right back.
I love that
might be a
idea.
nice thought.
I love that idea because you have the openness of the deck, which I think is really appealing, and I think it's really what we're going for. My only issue, having had a restaurant with a rollout, the ceiling, is that when it starts, has anybody ever been to the back porch in Rehoboth?
yes,
Well, have you ever been there when it rains?
no.
No.
So they would have a few things that would, they could pull out, or umbrellas, but then your back got wet, and your food kind of got wet, or you sit in the bar with your mini lamb chop. And when people are paying for fine dining, it's sometimes an issue. And I'm willing to do whatever looks good, but I
Well,
think
I-
having something would be better than having nothing.
And
See, I
Absolutely.
don't want to sit in August
Yeah, I was gonna say it's hot
and
as bees and
have the sun beating down, because even in
the heat.
6 o'clock in the afternoon, sometimes it's still hot
Even on the
here.
back deck with that beautiful tree,
Yeah,
in
so
August,
I
that sun
need-
gets through to you.
I think I would prefer that you do the corrugated.
Well, and by
it-
corrugated, you don't mean like that old school green stuff, you're talking about something more rustic.
Yeah, that's what I think Joe was talking
You're
about.
talking
and I-
of metal roofing, right?
yeah, at first we
Yeah.
were talking about the plastic
There's a clear option.
fiberglass, or clear, that's because it's clear. And that gives you a lot of light inside of there if you need it. It also diffuses some of the light, just so it won't get so hot. And that's one of the things that we were looking at.
You know, another thing, Justine, is a businesswoman too. I mean, business person, anytime you talk to a manufacturer, and they say, oh, this is impervious, it's not gonna rain through, it's not gonna do this and that. 2 years later, I'd like to see a lot of those things. I just get very disappointed oftentimes in construction, stuff like that. I'm saying, water, you have some rains like we've had this past spring, and water, if any little thing goes wrong where it starts pooling up in there, I think it offers a lot of stress.
If you're gonna plan on a corrugated roof, now, let's say it's not on this application, obviously, so maybe it might have to come back for that.
No,
And
we don't.
because we don't wanna create an issue with this application, right? But my question is really, in planning for it, and knowing that we'll probably go through, we just wanna see how it's gonna be done and what materials you're gonna use. When you build this pergola, you're gonna build it with a pitch already designed in it?
Yeah.
Planning for the future?
I think there's always a pitch just getting the water even on the pergola wood to not be going towards the building.
Mhm.
A small pitch to get it just coming off of the
Because
building.
it would make sense to do that, so when you come back with another application for the roof, the pergola is already done, you don't have to make any changes to the
Yeah,
pergola.
we're gonna
And that would
go-
cost more too to do that.
Yeah,
You're showing the picture on this with just open joists, I'll call it,
Right.
okay? Open 2x10s, 12s, whatever,
Yeah.
on the pergola.
Yeah, I see that now.
You're showing a pitch, so, but you're not showing the roof. So I think what Robert's saying is correct. I would say somebody make a motion to approve what they've got on this, which doesn't show the roof, and have them come back at another meeting. He's gotta get a permit and get started on the job anyway. So our next meeting is only June 3rd, 2 weeks.
Yes,
So-
but have we got enough time for code for them to be,
We can continue.
There's no really rush for that,
We
because
could-
even if it's set for July, they still have to build all this out.
now, I want Justine, when Joe's ready to do, I don't want her to have to wait, because this is important for you to get this done for summer, right? I mean, this is important, or we wouldn't be having this special meeting.
Well, I greatly appreciate you all coming in here today and all showing up for this, only for this. So trust me, I'm, really willing to work with you because you all took time out of your schedules to come here in the middle of this, everything going on. So I'm happy to wait. We can get this started, like you said, get our permit, do what we need to do, and then come back and maybe June 3rd or the meeting that you have and
How much
approach-
time is required to do all this right now? How much time do they need?
Well, we need to get a permit before we do
Well,
anything.
to answer your question realistically, and I hope Justine doesn't hit me, I'm really looking, it's gonna take about 30 days.
So you'd like to have it done like end of June?
What's the?
20th of May, today's 20th of May.
Yeah, so you're talking 30 days?
Yeah, probably
Yeah,
towards
middle to the end of June then.
End of June.
Okay. So, so if you can get an application, I guess, for a June meeting?
No, we're not doing that. We're gonna do a continuation just for the part of the roof. We can do a motion to approve everything except that one thing and do a continuation, so you don't have to do a new application because it's part of this to begin with, right, David? Isn't
Yeah, we
that
can do it
easier?
that way. Yes.
Saying that we're okay with putting.
Everything else.
With everything else, so.
With the stipulation that they come back to show you the roof
Yeah.
material.
Yeah,
And that'll give them a
material.
chance to decide what, you'll have a chance to look and.
Because you've already said, if it's metal roofing, it's very similar to the awnings we have
Yeah,
Yeah.
all over town on Main Street and over the retail stores and restaurants. But if it's, like someone was going like that, I don't remember which one but if it's that corrugated plastic, you might say, "Yeah." or maybe not, maybe you'll love it, I don't know.
No, that's the impression when you say corrugated, right away people
Right.
think those little green things they put on top of their sheds, you know?
Yeah, they're like half round,
Yeah.
yeah. So,
it would be pretty in the red, like the burgundy color.
All right, so before we do any motion or anything, is everyone on the board okay with doing a continuation for Justine?
Yes.
For that one specific thing, and everything else here, everybody is okay with every single solitary thing else?
Just with a little note about the discrepancy with the design of the railing. on here and the way you want to do it. Just make a note of that too, so no one can ever create an issue if they see this and then they see the finished product.
Yeah, I think it all looks, it looks nice.
It'd be awesome.
It looks
Thank you.
really
It
nice.
look very nice.
Excited for
No
it.
matter how you look.
Thank you all for taking the time out for it.
Oh, okay, we
Thank you for
got,
the
we
nice
got,
presentation.
Gotta have a motion.
I'll make the motion.
wait, Robert, I'm not ready for you to make a motion yet, please. Just hold on.
I guess I'm getting hungry dinner time.
We haven't been together in a while.
No, it's very obvious.
You guys are out of practice.
Okay, I will entertain a motion on case number 2020-05 for 104 Pitt Street to approve all the plans as submitted except for a continuation on the roof material, which will be hopefully the June 3rd Historic District Commission meeting.
May I now?
Go right ahead.
I'll make a motion to approve case 2020-05 as presented today with a slight variation with the railing design and with the continuance for the roof design.
I'll second.
All right, all in favor?
All
Aye.
right.
All right,
Congrats.
thank you.
Thank you all very much,
Congratulations.
thank you. I appreciate you guys coming in and doing that.
Yeah, we can't wait to sit up.
I know, I'm
Wait,
so
Mary,
excited.
we're not done yet.
You know it's gonna
We're
look
not done, we're not done.
so much better.
No, it's gonna be awesome.
Now look at this 30 days thing.
Huh?
Yes.
30 days.
Yeah, about time you get.
I'll entertain comments from the staff, since we have not been together since March.
Well,
Staff.
the next meeting, the June 3rd meeting, make sure you all have dinner before you come, because it's gonna be a long meeting. I got 4 different cases for that meeting. Real quick, Carol and I worked on the agenda for that. It'll get posted shortly on the website and such. 507 South Main is requesting an above-ground pool with a deck surrounding it and a shed. From what I know, you wouldn't even know it was there, but it's in the historic district, so we need to approve that. 19 South Main, many of you are familiar with. There's a detached garage that they were proceeding with renovations to, exterior remodeling. He needs to come before you, Mr. Gallagher. And then 12 Broad Street, which is the Globe Theater. Mr. Brushmiller he's moved the walk-in freezer outside from along the side of Gay Street there. And when he got his permit, he had outdoor seating, a fence and signage on there, but he has never come before you, even though he was told he needed to. So that we'll have to look at that, his plans for the Globe. And then finally, the one that you're all familiar with, I think Chairman Rose shared with you the renovations to the building across the street that runs between Main and on out to Pitt Street. Major renovations to the facade from the Heart of Berlin, that organization is called. So, busy meeting for that. If you're ready for that meeting on the 3rd, the continuation, I guess I could probably put that right at the front of the meeting.
I would do that,
You know, yeah.
because if he brings the material,
Yeah, I believe I can do that, so.
Is there a planning and zoning meeting at 6:30 that night, or?
No, they meet on the 10th.
Okay.
The planning
So
and
nobody's after us?
planning commission meets on the 10th. And usually Board of Zoning Appeals
That's it, yeah.
is the one that follows you. There's no meeting.
Okay.
There's nothing on the agenda. And it would have been today, I would have had to post that if there was. So I know there isn't, so. It'll be, yeah, an interesting meeting, but we'll get through it. That's all I have.
all right, thank you, Dave. Comments from any of the commissioners? Comments from the chairman? No. Thank you all for coming on a special evening to meet. It's good to see everyone. And I will ask for a motion to adjourn, please.
I'll make the motion to adjourn.
Second.
All right, all in favor?
All right. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all again.